My sister is going to tell our parents she's pregnant at dinner tonight, and we don't know what my parents are going to do. I'm 14 and she's 18. I found out because our bedrooms share a bathroom, and I've heard her throwing up every morning for 2 months straight. At first I thought she had a stomach bug, then I noticed the saltine crackers hidden in her nightstand, and the way she'd go pale every time our mom cooked eggs. She finally broke down and told me everything last week. She sat on my bed shaking and made me swear I wouldn't say anything. The father is her so-called mentor from her school internship. He's 34. I didn't even know they were together. She always called him her advisor. He started buying her things early on. A laptop for her schoolwork, nice clothes for presentations, concert tickets because she mentioned she liked a certain band. I thought he was just being generous. My parents thought so too. My dad even said once how lucky she was to have someone investing in her future. That sentence hits different now. 3 days before dinner, she packed a backpack and hid it under her bed. She told me if our parents kicked her out, she'd go stay with him. He already told her she could move in. He had a spare room ready. The way she said it so calmly, like she'd rehearsed it, made my stomach turn. She wasn't scared of our parents. She was scared of losing him. That's what worried me the most. Dinner started completely normal. My dad was talking about the Eagles game going on about some bad call in the third quarter. My mom was complaining about the neighbors leaving their trash cans out again. My sister barely touched her food. She just kept moving rice around her plate with her fork. I couldn't eat either. I felt like I was sitting on a ticking bomb that only we could hear. Then about 20 minutes in, she put her fork down and said, "I need to tell you something." The table went dead silent. My dad stopped mid-sentence with his mouth still open. My mom slowly set her glass down. My sister's voice was shaking, but she got through it. She told them she was pregnant. She told them who the father was. She told them his age. For about 10 seconds, nobody moved. I could hear the clock on the wall ticking. I could hear the neighbor's dog barking outside. I was gripping my chair so hard my knuckles turned white. Then my mom did something I never expected. She didn't scream. She didn't cry. She didn't slam her hands on the table. She stood up, walked to the kitchen, and came back with a notebook and a pen. She sat down, and in this voice I'd never heard before, cold and steady, she said, "Tell me his full name." My sister told her. My mom wrote it down. Then she asked his age, where he worked, the name of the company that ran the internship program, how long it had been going on. She wrote every single answer down like she was building a case right there at the dinner table. When she had everything, she looked at my dad and said, "Call the lawyer." My dad didn't hesitate. He pulled out his phone right there at the table and called their family attorney. While he was on the phone, my mom made 2 more calls, one to the police non-emergency line and one to the school district office. She left a voicemail at the school because it was after hours, but the police sent an officer within 40 minutes. My sister started panicking. She kept saying, "You don't understand, I love him. He takes care of me. He's the only one who listens to me." Every word she said made it worse. Not because she was lying, but because she believed it completely. When the officer arrived, he was calm. He sat at our kitchen table and spoke to my sister privately in the living room. My parents let her talk without interrupting. I sat in the hallway where I could hear bits and pieces. He asked her when the relationship started. She said last spring. He asked if anything physical happened before she turned 18 in February. She went quiet for a long time. Then she said yes. He asked if she ever felt pressured into doing things she wasn't comfortable with. Her voice cracked and she said sometimes. That one word changed the temperature of the entire house. The officer took notes. He told my parents they'd be opening an investigation. He gave them a card for a victim's advocate. My sister didn't argue anymore after that. She just sat on the couch holding a pillow staring at nothing. That backpack she'd packed 3 days ago sat untouched by the front door the entire night. Nobody mentioned it. Around midnight, my dad quietly picked it up and carried it back to her room. My mom made her a cup of tea and sat next to her on the couch until she fell asleep. They didn't yell. They didn't kick her out. They didn't say I told you so. They just held it together long enough to protect her. I always thought if something like this happened, my parents would lose it. But they didn't lose anything that night except the man who spent months convincing an 18-year-old that nobody else would ever care about her the way he did. The investigation is still ongoing. My sister started seeing a therapist last week. She doesn't talk about him anymore. But sometimes I hear her crying through the bathroom wall, and I just sit on my side of the door and wait until she stops. She doesn't know I'm there, but I'm not going anywhere. When my dad gave the family business to my brother and told me to pack my things, I didn't argue, just left. 6 months later, he called me in tears. I let it go to voicemail. I was 28 when it happened. I'd spent 12 years working 60-hour weeks at our family's auto shop. My brother spent 12 years showing up late and posting on Instagram. Dad called it preparing him for leadership. The night of the announcement, we were all sitting around the kitchen table. Mom couldn't even look at me. Dad slid the paperwork across like he was dealing cards. "I'm signing the business over to your brother, and you'll need to vacate the apartment above the garage by month's end. He needs the space." I didn't yell, didn't ask why. Just stood up, walked out, and started packing. By sunrise, I was gone. I drove 2 hours to the next town, walked into the first garage I saw and asked if they were hiring. The owner looked at my hands, saw 12 years of grease under my nails, and said, "You start Monday." 3 months in, they promoted me to lead technician. The old crew loved me because I actually knew what I was doing. By month 5, the owner sat me down and said, "I'm retiring next year. You interested in buying me out?" I was, but I had a better idea. I started a YouTube channel on the side. Just me in my tiny garage, rebuilding a 1972 Camaro I bought for $3,500. No fancy editing, no scripts, just real work. The first video got 47 views. The second got 200. Then one went viral. 1.2 million views in a week. Suddenly I had sponsors, tool companies sending me free gear, a parts supplier offering partnership deals. By month 8, I was pulling $12,000 a month just from the channel. Meanwhile, back at the family shop, my brother was imploding. I heard it through the grapevine first. Then an old supplier called me. "Your brother owes us $40,000. Hasn't paid in 4 months. You know anything about that?" I did some digging. Turns out my brother had been living like a CEO. $90,000 Mercedes charged to the shop account. Business trips to Vegas that were just weekend parties with his buddies. He even hired a social media manager for $6,000 a month to make him look successful online. He fired 2 of our best technicians and replaced them with his college friends who didn't know a wrench from a screwdriver. Customers started leaving. Jobs sat unfinished. The shop that took 30 years to build was collapsing in under 6 months. That's when Dad started calling. First voicemail, "We need to talk. Call me back." I didn't. Second voicemail, a week later, "Your brother's made some mistakes. Maybe you could come by and help us sort things out." Deleted. Third voicemail, "Please, I'm begging you. He's destroyed everything. We're losing the shop. I don't know what to do. I need you." His voice cracked on that last part. I could hear him crying. I listened to it twice, then I deleted it. But I didn't do nothing. I called the landlord who owned the building our shop sat on. We'd always been friendly. "Hey, it's me. How's my brother doing on rent?" Long pause. "He's 4 months behind. I've been patient because of your dad, but I'm done. I'm filing eviction next week." "Don't," I said. "Sell me the building instead." Another pause. "You serious?" serious? I'll pay cash. Close in 2 weeks. He laughed. You got yourself a deal. I liquidated some investments, pulled my YouTube earnings, and made it happen. $340,000. I owned the building. The eviction notice arrived at the shop on a Tuesday. My brother called me 17 times that day. I didn't pick up once. My dad called too. Left another voicemail. I heard what you did. I know you're angry, but this isn't you. Your grandfather built this business for family. Don't throw that away. I texted back one sentence. Grandpa built it for people who gave a damn. 2 weeks later, they were out. The locks changed on a Friday morning. My brother showed up with a U-Haul and his Instagram crew, filming the whole thing like it was content. I watched from across the street with my coffee. By Monday, my crew was moving in. New equipment, new sign, same building, same legacy, different name. I kept one thing from the old shop, a photo of my grandfather standing in front of the original garage, hands covered in grease, smiling like he'd just solved the world's problems. I hung it in my office, right above my desk. Yesterday, I got a text from my brother. Hope you're happy. I didn't respond. This morning, my dad showed up. Stood outside for 20 minutes, watching through the window as I worked on a '68 Mustang. Finally, he came in. You didn't have to destroy us, he said quietly. I looked up. I didn't destroy anything. I just stopped saving you. He nodded, didn't argue, just turned and walked out. And for the first time in 28 years, I didn't feel guilty. I felt free. My girlfriend cheated on me for the dumbest reason. We'd been together since high school, 8 years total. Started dating when she was 17 and I was 18. She was the one who asked me out, which surprised everyone because she'd been crushing on me for months. I said yes immediately. Best decision I ever made, or so I thought. From day one, she'd say things like, "You're way out of my league," or "I can't believe you're with someone like me." At first, I thought it was cute, kind of endearing. But after 8 years, it started to bother me. I'd tell her constantly that I loved her, that looks don't matter, that she's the only person I wanted. She'd just smile and say I know, but I could tell she didn't actually believe it. Our life together was solid, though. We both landed decent jobs after college, me at 55K doing IT work and her at 48K in marketing. Got a small house together 2 years ago. Nothing fancy, but it was ours. Started talking seriously about marriage, looking at rings online, discussing timelines. My mom loved her, her parents loved me. Everything was perfect except for that one insecurity that wouldn't die. Here's the thing about me. I'm not some player. I've got 5 best friends from childhood, all guys, 0 female friends. I don't go to clubs or bars without her. Maybe twice a week I'd hit the gym with my buddies after work, usually home by 8 p.m. I'm active on Instagram, post pictures of us constantly, stories of our dates, the whole relationship flex. And yeah, I'd get DMs from random girls, probably 2 or 3 a week. I'd either ignore them, tell them I have a girlfriend, or just block them. Never even entertained a conversation. She was the opposite. Went out with her girlfriends every weekend, came home around 3 a.m. most Saturdays. I never cared because I trusted her completely. I'm not a jealous person. If anything, I encouraged her to have her own life outside of us. Last Tuesday night, I was at the gym with my boys. We did this brutal leg day, and afterwards, my friend Noah invited us back to his place to play video games and order pizza. I was exhausted and figured why not. Immediately texted my girlfriend at 9:47 p.m. saying staying at Noah's tonight, super tired, sent my location and everything. She just read it. No response, but that was normal for her when she was out with friends. Next morning, I had to be up at 4:45 a.m. for work. My alarm went off and I heard the front door open. Checked my phone, it was 4:30 a.m. She usually came home around 3, so this was weird but not insane. I walked out to the living room and she looked startled to see me awake. I asked why she stayed out so late. She just said, "Oh, I lost track of time, we were having fun." She seemed off, but I had to leave for work in 15 minutes, so I didn't push it. Got to work and couldn't focus. Something felt wrong. Then at 2 p.m., I got a text from her. "We need to talk." Those 4 words that make every guy's stomach drop. I told her I was stuck at work until 6, that we'd talk when I got home. Drove home in complete silence. No music, no podcasts, just my brain running through every possible scenario. Walked in, and she was sitting on the couch, crying. Not just tears, full body sobs. I immediately thought someone died. Her grandma maybe, or one of her friends got in an accident, sat down next to her and asked what's wrong. She looked at me with this broken expression and said I hooked up with Derek, her ex from sophomore year of high school, the guy she dated for 6 months before we got together. I just stared at her, waiting for the punchline that never came. I finally asked why, just that one word. She said because you're out of my league, and I know you've probably cheated on me at least once, so I figured I'd just get it over with. Like it was some kind of preemptive revenge, like she was evening the score for something I never did. I stood up without saying anything, grabbed my keys off the counter. She tried to grab my arm, but I pulled away and walked straight out the door. Drove to Noah's place, and I've been crashing on his couch for 3 days now. She's called me many times, sent me paragraphs about how it was a mistake, how she was scared of losing me, how the insecurity finally broke her. Her friends have reached out saying I need to forgive her, that she's a mess, that everyone makes mistakes. I was planning to propose next month. Had the ring picked out for 2 weeks, $200 saved up, already talked to her dad. It's sitting in my sock drawer in a house I can't go back to. She didn't cheat because she stopped loving me. She cheated because she loved me too much and couldn't believe I wouldn't hurt her first.
I can't handle my husband touching me anymore. We've been married 3 years. Justin's a great guy. Patient, considerate, does the dishes without being asked. He remembers my coffee order. Texts me funny memes during lunch. Everyone tells me how lucky I am. But when he reaches for me at night, my skin crawls. Not in a butterfly's way. In a fight or flight way. It wasn't always like this. Before marriage, I couldn't wait to be close to him. We'd sit in his car for hours talking, and I'd lean into him like a magnet. I thought our wedding night would be everything I'd waited for. Instead, it was fine. Just fine. I told myself first times are awkward. Give it time. But time made it worse. By month 6, I was making excuses. Headaches. Early meetings. I'm just really tired tonight. He never pushed, which somehow made me feel worse. Like he could sense something was wrong but didn't know how to fix it. I thought maybe it was me. Changed my birth control 3 times. Started working out more, thinking maybe I needed to feel better about my body. Bought new lingerie that sat in my drawer with the tags still on. Then I suggested couples therapy. Justin looked relieved, like he'd been waiting for me to say something. We found Dr. Stein, who had great reviews and a calming office with those white noise machines. For 8 months, we went every Thursday at 6 p.m. Talked about intimacy barriers and reconnecting emotionally. Did homework assignments, scheduled date nights, non-sexual touching exercises. Justin tried so hard. Bought massage oil, planned weekend getaways. Dr. Stein kept saying we had excellent excellent communication and strong foundational compatibility. She seemed genuinely puzzled why the physical connection wasn't improving. I started keeping a journal, trying to pinpoint when things changed, and that's when I saw the pattern. It all started after his company holiday party, December 15th, 3 years ago. I was sick that night, stomach flu, so Justin went alone. He came home at 2 a.m., apologetic, saying his boss had kept buying rounds. When he kissed me goodnight, I tasted strawberry lip gloss, the kind I don't wear. I'm allergic to artificial strawberry flavoring, so I always avoid it. I remember lying there in the dark, telling myself I was being paranoid. He'd probably just been talking to someone from work. It didn't mean anything. But after that night, something in me shut down. My body started keeping score even though my mind tried to forgive what I couldn't even prove happened. I never said anything. Seemed crazy to accuse him based on lip gloss. So I buried it, blamed myself, went to therapy, and tried harder. Last Tuesday, I was doing laundry. Justin's gym bag fell off the closet shelf. The expensive North Face one he got for his birthday 4 years ago. The one he claimed he lost right after that holiday party. It landed open. Inside was his old wallet, some protein bar wrappers, and a hotel room keycard in a paper sleeve. I pulled it out. The Marriott downtown, room 1247, dated December 15th, 3 years ago. My hands started shaking. The company party was at a restaurant 10 minutes from our apartment. There was no reason for a hotel room. I sat on our bedroom floor for an hour, just holding that keycard. Everything clicked into place. The strawberry lip gloss, the 2 a.m. arrival, why my body recoiled every time he touched me after that night. Some part of me had known all along. I didn't confront him right away. I needed to be sure. That weekend, I told Justin I was visiting my sister. Instead, I drove to his office building and waited. At 5:30 p.m., he walked out with a woman I recognized from his company's Instagram, Ashley from marketing. They didn't touch, didn't kiss, but the way they looked at each other told me everything. I confronted him that night, put the keycard on our kitchen table and said, December 15th, 3 years ago, tell me the truth. He went pale, started crying before he even spoke, said it was just that one night after the party, that Ashley had been going through a divorce, they'd had too much to drink, got a room to talk, and it just happened. Said he'd been living with guilt ever since, wanted to tell me 1,000 times but was too afraid. I asked him if they were still seeing each other. He swore no, said it ended that night, but I'd seen them together Friday. He admitted they'd gotten coffee twice in the past month, as friends, to get closure. I told him my body had been protecting me for 3 years, carrying a truth my mind tried to ignore, that every time he touched me, I physically recoiled because some part of me knew he'd betrayed us. He's staying at his brother's now. I filed for separation yesterday. For the first time in years, I can breathe in my own bed. My therapist was right about one thing. We did have excellent communication. My body was screaming the truth. I just finally learned to listen.
I've just told my wife, who scares me, I want a divorce. We've been together 12 years with 2 boys ages 4 and 7. When we met, things were great. We both worked in finance, traveled to Singapore twice a year, had this amazing apartment in the city. But within 6 months, it became clear that my wife doesn't have any tolerance for things not done exactly her way. She idealizes her childhood. She's obsessed with doing things normally, which to her means the way her mother did them. The ironic part is her mom is super chill and nothing like this. But once our kids were born, it got so much worse. I couldn't dress the kids without her redoing it. Wrong color combinations, she'd say. Navy and black don't go together. If I put on a diaper, she'd take it off and redo it tighter. If I packed their lunch, she'd open the lunchbox and swap out the goldfish crackers for the organic ones she preferred. She even criticized me for cutting their sandwiches into squares instead of triangles. Every single thing I did was wrong. I wake up at 5:30 a.m. naturally. Always have. I also function fine on 5 hours of sleep, while my wife is an absolute demon if she doesn't get her full 8 hours. That means I handle 99% of the night wakings. I do 99% of morning prep, breakfast, lunch boxes, getting them dressed in the outfits she picked the night before. I take them to school every single morning. The reason I do everything this early is because if I wait until she's awake, I get criticized for using the wrong spoon to serve the yogurt, for using 2% milk instead of whole milk in the oatmeal, for not wiping up every tiny spill the exact second it happens, for using the blue dish rag instead of the yellow one. Every criticism is delivered like I just committed a crime. She's right on some of them, but it's a constant barrage, and I've learned to just tune her out. I've even been told that me going to the bathroom at night is a problem because the kids can feel me being awake, like I'm supposed to hold it for 8 hours. Here's the thing though, our oldest loves waking up early with me. It's genuinely the best part of my day. We make scrambled eggs together. We watch the morning news. We talk about dinosaurs and space and whatever nerdy thing he's into that week. Last month it was black holes. This month it's the Titanic. It's our time. But my wife won't have it. She insists he has to stay in bed until 6:30. It's torture for him. He's exactly like me. He cries. He begs to get up. He doesn't understand why he has to lie there when he's wide awake and Dad is downstairs making coffee. Now our 4-year-old is doing the same thing and she started blowing up at me even more aggressively. I tried talking to her about it 3 times. She said I'm undermining her parenting, that I'm creating bad sleep habits, that the pediatrician said kids need 11 hours of sleep. Our oldest goes to bed at 7:30 and wakes up at 5:30. That's 10 hours. Well, within normal range. Last Tuesday morning, she woke up at 6 a.m. She came downstairs and just started screaming. She said I'm lazy, that I just put them in front of the TV every morning while I sit there scrolling my phone doing nothing. They get 1 hour of TV during school holidays. 1 hour. I plan 90% of our weekend outings to museums and parks and the zoo. Then she said our oldest is short because he doesn't sleep enough. He's 3'9". The average for his age is 3'10", 1 inch below average. She was yelling all of this in front of both boys. They were just staring at her with these wide, scared eyes. Our youngest started crying, and I finally snapped. I looked at her and very calmly said, enough. I want a divorce. You will never speak to me like that again. The room went completely silent. She just stood there frozen. The boys were frozen. I picked up my coffee, walked upstairs, and called a lawyer from our bedroom. First appointment is next Wednesday at 2 p.m. We're at her parents' house until next week for the holidays, but when we get back, I'm filing. I already talked to my boss about taking some personal days. I've been looking at 2-bedroom apartments near the boys' school. Found one for $1,800 a month. That's perfect. I can't wait to have my own place, to have the kids on my own half the time. No more criticism. No more being told I'm using the wrong spatula or the wrong brand of butter. Just me and my boys making breakfast at 5:30 a.m. with nobody standing over us saying we're doing it wrong.
She forced me to open the relationship, but now she's demanding we become exclusive again. Back in March, my girlfriend of 4 years cornered me after dinner. We were washing dishes when she just stopped and said we needed to talk. She told me she needed to see other people before we got too serious. That she loved me but felt like she was missing out on experiences. That all her friends were living these exciting lives and she was stuck in a routine. I told her I wasn't comfortable with it. That opening our relationship would destroy what we had. She started crying, said I was being controlling and holding her back from growing as a person. She threatened to leave if I couldn't support her needs. Said she'd been thinking about this for months and couldn't ignore it anymore. I sat there watching her sob into her hands for 2 hours until I finally broke down and said, okay. She had a guy lined up within 48 hours, some CrossFit trainer from her gym. I'm almost certain she'd been planning this for weeks, maybe already talking to him. She told me about him like it was no big deal, like she was mentioning a coworker. He's really nice, you'd probably like him, she said. I wanted to throw up. The pattern started immediately. Tuesdays and Thursdays, she'd stay out until 2 a.m., sometimes 3. She'd come home smelling like his cologne, this expensive stuff I could never afford. She'd shower immediately and crawl into bed without saying a word. I'd just sit there in the living room watching Netflix reruns, feeling like the world's biggest doormat. Some nights I couldn't even focus on the TV. I'd just stare at the door waiting for her key to turn in the lock, my stomach in knots the entire time. This went on for 2 months. She seemed happier than she'd been in years, more energetic, more confident. She started dressing differently, wearing makeup on Tuesday mornings. Meanwhile, I was falling apart. Lost 15 pounds because I couldn't eat properly. My friends noticed, but I was too embarrassed to tell them what was happening. I made excuses about work stress. Then one Friday night, a coworker from the late shift asked if I wanted to grab drinks. We'd been friendly for months and she knew about the open relationship because I'd vented to her once during lunch break. I figured why not. One drink turned into 3 and we started talking about everything except work. She touched my arm when she laughed, asked about my favorite movies, my childhood, things my girlfriend hadn't asked about in years. For the first time in months, I felt wanted, actually seen. We hung out at her place late into the night. When I got home at 6 a.m., my girlfriend was sitting in the dark living room, still in her pajamas. Where were you? Her voice was cold. I told her the truth, that I'd been with my coworker. Her face went completely white. She didn't say another word, just stood up and walked into our bedroom. I heard her crying through the door. The next morning, everything changed. Suddenly, the open relationship was unhealthy and damaging our foundation. She wanted to close it immediately, said we needed to focus on us again. I asked her about the trainer. She said she'd already ended things with him weeks ago, that it didn't mean anything, that she never thought I'd actually meet someone else. This was supposed to be about me finding myself, not you replacing me. I told her I needed time to think about it. She lost it, started crying about how watching me leave for my coworker's apartment made her physically sick, how she couldn't sleep knowing I was with another woman, how she spent the whole night imagining what we were doing. The irony wasn't lost on me. I'd felt that exact same way for 2 months straight. I kept seeing my coworker anyway. She never pressured me about my girlfriend, never asked when I was going to leave. She just treated me like I mattered. We'd get coffee before work, text throughout the day, spend weekends hiking trails outside the city. With her, everything felt easy, natural, like I could breathe again. My girlfriend noticed. She'd check my phone when I was in the shower, ask where I was going every time I left the apartment, started leaving her schedule open on Tuesdays and Thursdays, asking if I wanted to stay home and watch a movie. She tried using the same tactics from March, crying and saying I was being selfish, that I was punishing her for being honest about her needs, that she'd made herself vulnerable and I was throwing it in her face. Last Tuesday, my coworker asked if I wanted to make things official, stop seeing other people and just be together. I said yes without hesitating. It felt right, in a way nothing had felt right in months. When I got home that night, I told my girlfriend I was moving out. She looked at me like I'd stabbed her. You can't just leave. We can fix this. I made a mistake, but we can work through it. She grabbed my arm, begging me to stay and talk. Promised she'd never bring up opening the relationship again, that we could go to couples therapy, start fresh, pretend March never happened. I pulled away and picked up my keys. I looked at her crying face and said the exact words she told me back in March. I need to explore what makes me happy. Her face when I walked out the door, that broken expression, that was the moment I realized I'd already been gone for months. I just finally had somewhere better to go.